In this video, we're going to introduce the idea of immunity and discuss a few different aspects of the immune system. The main purpose of the immune system is to protect the body from infection, specifically from organisms called pathogens. So the purpose of the immune system is to protect us from those guys. Pathogens are microbes that cause disease, like bacteria or viruses, that can make you very sick. Now, the immune system is really a functional system, and what I mean by that is that it's characterized by what it does, not so much by the structures that are part of the system. In fact, the lymphoid organs form the anatomical structures of the immune system, and that's why some anatomy and physiology textbooks lump the lymphatic system together with the immune system, and some separate them. Now, the immune system has two major functions. The first one you're all probably already pretty familiar with, and that main purpose is to attack foreign antigens. Now, an antigen is basically anything that your immune system can recognize. And what I mean by foreign antigen is an antigen that is not normally found in your body. So it's foreign. That's a very important function of the immune system. But just as important is the second function, and that function is to not attack self-antigens. So your immune system is theoretically capable of recognizing your own proteins, but normally your immune system is very good at not recognizing and not attacking your own proteins. And this is an idea called tolerance, or to be more precise, self-tolerance. Both of these aspects of immunity are absolutely critical in maintaining a healthy body. The immune system can be roughly divided up into two main branches. First, you have innate immunity. This is the immunity that you're born with. It doesn't change over time, so that's why it's called innate immunity. The other branch is adaptive immunity. Adaptive immunity adapts to the antigens that you see, the pathogens that you see over the course of your lifetime. So it can actually change and it can get better with exposure. Both innate immunity and adaptive immunity are very important. Innate immunity is your first and second lines of defense. Your first line of defense is the barriers that keep pathogens from entering your body. The second lines of defense are the mechanisms that come into play when a pathogen does cross those barriers. So although you can talk about the immune system as though it has these two separate branches, innate immunity and adaptive immunity, there's really a lot of crosstalk between the two. First off, the innate immune cells play a very important role in activating the adaptive immune cells. And also, once the adaptive immune response gets going, some products of the adaptive immune response really help out the innate immune response and make the innate immune response work better. So, while it's convenient and easy to discuss them as these two branches, there really is a lot of interaction between the two. This graph illustrates one key difference between the innate immune responses and the adaptive immune responses, and that's their timing. The innate immune response is shown in blue, and you can see the innate immune response is right there, ready to go, as soon as you're exposed to a pathogen. That's what this green arrow represents, is exposure to a pathogen. The innate immune response is already there, ready to go, and it helps protect you from infection. It helps keep that infection from getting a foothold in your body. But it's also over pretty quickly. The innate immune response dies back down. The adaptive immune response, it takes longer to get going, but once it's active, it stays active over a longer period of time. So the innate, fast, immediate, ready. Adaptive, slow to start, but longer lasting. Now, you might look at the previous slide and wonder why we bother having an innate immune system when the adaptive immune system has the potential to become stronger and can last longer. This slide I'm including in order to demonstrate that both the innate immune system and the adaptive immune system are very critical. You are looking at an experiment that tested the importance of innate and adaptive immunity. Or rather, of a series of experiments. In the yellow line here, you're looking at the normal progress of a normal infection in mice and humans that have perfectly functioning immune systems. You see an increase in the number of microorganisms, but then your immune system kicks in and that number comes back down until eventually they're gone. Right? In the green line, you're looking at either mice that have a genetic mutation that removes their adaptive immune system, or humans that have a naturally occurring mutation that removes their adaptive immune system. So the innate immune system is active, and that keeps the organisms in check for a while, but as the organisms divide and divide and divide, eventually they reach a point where the innate immune responses can't control them anymore, and then they take off. They're never cleared. So the adaptive immune system is important in clearing those organisms. But now, if you look at mice or humans that don't have innate immunity, they don't have they don't have neutrophils or macrophages, that's this line in red. There's no control of the microorganisms. They just keep going up and up and up. And these mice don't survive. Humans probably not either. The main point, both the innate and adaptive immune responses are critical. Besides being longer lasting, your adaptive immune response has this really nifty characteristic called immunological memory. Immunological memory is the ability of your adaptive immune system to respond to a pathogen more quickly and more strongly the second time it sees it. That's what this graph over here is showing you. On the y-axis, you have antibodies. That's one way of measuring the strength of the adaptive immune response, is looking at the number of antibodies present in serum. You're giving this blue antigen, antigen A, at this time point. There's a delay before the adaptive immune response gets going, and then you see the antibody response coming up. But then you expose the organism to that A antigen, the blue antigen, again, and there's no delay. The antibodies are right there, ready to go. And it's stronger. You get more antibodies produced in that secondary response. Note that this is specific. Immunological memory is very specific. If you give a second antigen, a completely different antigen, antigen B in this case, the yellow antigen, there's still a delay period. The fact that there's a strong response to antigen A and a quicker response to antigen A, that doesn't change the response to antigen B, because it's the first time the immune system has seen antigen B. This is why it's called adaptive immunity, because it adapts to the infections that you've already seen. This is also, by the way, the goal of vaccination. The whole reason why vaccination works in an individual is because you give a vaccine, which is a killed or weakened version of a pathogen. You get that primary response, that slow, weaker primary response, so that if you ever encountered the pathogen in the wild, so to speak, you have a faster, stronger response, and your body can wipe it out before you even realize you've been exposed. This diagram gives you the beginnings of a framework for studying the immune system. We've already discussed the distinction between your innate immune response and your adaptive immune response. If you focus on just the innate response, you can break it down into your surface barriers, your first line of defense, the barriers that keep pathogens out, And your internal defenses, your second line of defense. These are the mechanisms that come into play once a pathogen gets across the surface barriers. The adaptive immune response can be divided into humoral immunity and cellular immunity. You can kind of sort of think of these together as your third line of defense that come into play after the innate defenses. B cells, the B lymphocytes, they produce antibodies that circulate in the fluids of your body. And the term humor is kind of a antiquated term for the fluids of your body. That's why antibody-mediated immunity is referred to as humoral immunity. With T cells, the T lymphocytes, you actually have to have the cells themselves present. So what they do is called cellular immunity, or sometimes cell-mediated immunity. Now remember, there's a lot of crosstalk between the two. The adaptive immune defenses help your innate defenses out in a lot of ways, and vice versa. Keep an eye out for this cooperation as you're studying the immune system. This is just the beginning of our tour of the immune system, but you should be able to address a few basic questions. Compare and contrast innate and adaptive immunity, discuss why both are important, explain immunological memory, and talk a little bit about why vaccination is protective.